Dear friends, today we will be talking about different aids which are essential while doing good welding. As you know, that if you are going to do a manual welding or automatic welding, there are different attachments or different aids which are required for a welder or a welding operator to ensure that welding is in the right direction, meeting all the quality requirements, adhering to the specifications, and will develop a part or will weld a part which will meet all the destructive and non-destructive testing requirements, and also the metallographic requirements for the weld. Now, what are the common aids which are required? Now, let us start from the basic fundamental things. As you know, when we strike a arc, the intensity of the arc is so high that normally we use a black glass of shade between 11 to 13, which is fairly good density of the darkness. And if you use this particular glass and see towards the sun, it will be at least 4 to 8 times darker than your normal sunglasses or the goggles. So it is so intense. The intensity of the arc is very high. It also radiates a lot of ultraviolet rays, and the temperature around this arc will be about 3000 degrees centigrade. So the first and foremost is to protect our eyes from this high intensity light, ultraviolet rays, and the radiations which are going to come. Anything which is above 700 degrees centigrade will start radiating. So a good helmet to protect entire face, eyes, and right up to your neck, because like I have buttoned it now, you will also button before you start welding. Still, this portion below my face is going to be exposed, and any radiations which are going to come onto my body and the skin directly will be harmful, and they will not be good for skin. The rays which are very high intense, not good for eyes, and the gases which are going to get generated because of either flux or the deliberate addition of the gas. A high concentration of that is also not good. So the area which we are going to use it for welding should have a good ventilation. It should be sufficiently ventilated. However, you know that we cannot put on the fan, as the fan will disturb the arc and especially its shielding. The electric arc per se may not get disturbed because of the fan, but the shielding to protect rest of our alloys which are going to get molten because of this heat will require to be properly protected. Now, important part here is that how do we then keep the ventilators on? So normally exhaust fan is used, or we have fume extraction systems which are operating at very low pressures, but they create a negative pressure. So you will really see from the arc the entire fumes will get converged and get into your fume extraction system. Or some of the MIG welding torches, GMAW torches, has an inbuilt fume extractor system. Gas which is going to come from the core of the torch will get utilized to shield, and after the utilized gas, its function is over, it will get extracted from the same torch, or there is external attachments which are given if the entire room is not properly ventilated. So that is the second thing. First is to protect our eyes, protect our nose, lungs from extracting the gases which may create a very high concentration of this flux gases, or the gases which we are deliberately adding like argon or helium or CO2, and it will reduce the percentage of oxygen in the nearby area, and then the welder will find it little breathing difficulties. The third protection is, since we are going to hold these torches in hand, and hand is the next, or probably the portion of the body which is going to come close to the arc is going to be the hand. So we must use proper gloves to shield once again the radiation. The ultraviolet radiations coming on the skin will remove the skin, will burn the skin, and secondly, it should also protect you from the heat, because many times you will be taking support from the job which you are welding. The job will be very hot, and then because of that high heat and the temperature, you will not be able to sustain. So a proper protection onto the hands is also required. Many of the welders, you will see they are wearing a scarf, tying it up fully, maybe nose and eyes are kept open, the rest everything is covered. And then we should also have some provision of like safety glasses when welder is going to do some kind of a touch up wire brushing onto the weld, after he does it or before he starts the welding. So these are the fundamental basic few needs, aids which are required to be taken. If he is standing and doing odd position overhead welding, then he must use a complete apron of heat resistant material. He should use proper shoes, so that the spark or the spatter sometimes which will fall onto the ground will not go onto his legs and they will get burnt. So these are some of the protective equipments these are the first aids which are required to be seen, and accordingly we should give proper PPs to all our welders. Now with this we should move to the next one. In many of our welding, we will be having a requirement to move the part to get the right position. If you want to really achieve a consistent welding and a good quality welding, it is always preferable or recommended to do it in down hand position, where the gravity will help you, and if constant force of gravity is applied on the liquid metal, you will be able to easily achieve the penetration. And that is where we use some kind of a manipulators between torch and the job. So this can be a column and boom, simple mechanism where you have a column and a boom which moves up and down for the linear welds. Now this coupled with a rotator where the job can rotate, can give circumferential joints. You can have a long simmer where you have everything fixed and the torch moves on that, or we have a positioner where you can actually tilt, like a disdain kind of a profiled jobs which can be mounted onto the positioners, and this way you will be able to maneuver your heavy or odd shaped jobs in such a way that you get the best position for welding. The best position every time need not be the down hand position. It can be a horizontal position, it can be a vertical position, it can be a overhead position, but at least you don't have to really make welder to go across the joint if the jobs are pretty big. But like a cross country pipelines where you cannot rotate such a long length pipes, so in such cases the welder has to move across the entire pipeline. And similarly in our aerospace also, we have sometimes many jobs which are very difficult to put on a positioner and get them concentrate because of their odd shape, and in such cases then it becomes difficult to really move the job and maintain the position. So welder prefers to move. And nowadays with the advancement in robotics, it is possible to manipulate and move the jobs in such a way that it will always get the right position irrespective of the contour and the shape and size of the jobs. So you require servo positioners, you require robotics, and then like a 9-axis or 12-axis flexible robo, or milling machine or machining center. You also develop a welding station, and then you go towards automation. From manual welding you go towards automation, or at least a semi-automatic way of doing it using such aids or accessories. Now the third level of requirement or the aids which are coming up are, if we want to do a weaving, welder will get tired in weaving the job. So there are standard weavers which are available, where you have possibilities to have a dwell on left hand side or right hand side or both, then the speed at which you want to dwell, the width of the dwell, the travel along with the dwell, and then if you want to go for 8 kind of a figure, backstep welding. So there are many types of weavers attachments are available where you move it. In the same category, we have another important parameter to be really maintained is the arc length, so that you have uniform arc length. If it is a small sheet straight, maintaining arc length becomes easy. But when you have a circle with some amount of ovality in it, then maintaining arc length becomes difficult. Or if you have an odd shape, like we have transition shape between a square and a circle, or eccentric elbows or something like that, in such cases welding becomes very difficult to manage the arc length. And if the arc length is varied, the current also varies, the deposition also varies, the depth of penetration also varies, the sidewall fusion tendency is also varying. So maintaining arc length is absolutely essential in such cases, and therefore we have to ensure that arc length is maintained. And then we have either manual, mechanical AVCs, automatic voltage controllers, which will measure the voltage between the arc, and if voltage increases, that means the arc length has increased. If voltage decreases, that means the arc length has reduced, and then it will accordingly move up and down the torch on a cross slide, X and Y cross slide. So this cross slide is something like this. If you want to view, you move it like this. If you want to adjust AVC, you move it in the Y direction. So that is the other attachment which is used, where you have a combination of AVC as well as the weaving in both. Then we have wire feeders. Instead of manually feeding the wire, many times we use wire feeder, and like in manual you have either a continuous feed, or you do a pulsing, you move and stop, you move and stop. So the pulsed wire feeders. And then since it is an automated thing, even the wire feeder can be used with a little extra current, and then the wire which is getting fed is heated to at least 300 degrees centigrade, and then it is fed into the welding. So that much heat of the arc is saved in heating the parent metal, because parent metal is now being poured, or the liquid metal which is being poured, or from the wire which is melted, is not from room temperature, but it is from 300 degrees centigrade, and the heat used for heating up by another means, by hot wire techniques, is different, or more useful to increase your penetration or the deposition rate when you want to have higher productivity. Then we also use sometimes now the cameras which are perfectly tuned to this high UV lights and the intensity, and frames are also taken at very faster rate, and on video screen you can see how the welding is actually being done, rather than looking it through the screen. And when you look through the screen, you are hardly able to see your weld. Rest everything is all dark, because of the heat is only concentrated, or the light is coming only from the arc, but rest of the area is dark and you don't see. Whereas this video will show you even the weld bead finish, how it is coming. So welder has a idea of how his bead is getting performed, whether it is uniformly spaced, is it really giving a good coverage to the entire weld area, there are no undercuts. So there are many visual inspections you can do online if you use this kind of cameras to do it. We also can put some kind of a sensors or cameras below the joint to see how the penetration is coming, and these are all different IoTs which are coming up in welding, which will aid in future to tell us as welding is happening, whether the penetration is coming okay, we don't have to stop, reverse the job and see whether the penetration has come nice or it is required to be improved. So there are many other aids which are coming up in this. I think lastly what is required is you require certain accessories along with the welding, a good flow meter to measure whether the gas is being fed at the right flow as being desired in the WPS. We also will have oxygen meters to check whether purging and the rest of the area is getting properly shielded. The trailing shields in case of titanium to give extra long shielding area rather than concentrated only below the ceramic nozzle of the torch. So these are other aids which are coming and they will be giving. I think torch is another important part, and having a combination of a switch on the torch and a foot switch along with the machine, welder will be able to really use two of his legs, which normally when he sits for welding he doesn't use. And like in driving a car, we have a steering in our hands and a change of gears, but at the same time accelerator, brake minimum, and a clutch. In the old cars we used to give it to the leg, and then one of the hand we used to also do a signaling, various signals whether we want to take a U-turn or a right turn or a left turn. Now all that has been moved and being slowly eliminated, like the clutch has been eliminated, power steering has come, and then we are having all types of signals to indicate the driver which is coming from the back on the other cars. So similarly in the welder side also we will use a foot switch for operating either a positioner or pre-flow, post-flow, pulsing, increasing current, decreasing current, pulsing current, and plus torch will also have some extra switches, and those switches can operate either a wire or some other devices which are essential for us to make a proper application. So like this we have many examples of what to use for getting a good weld joint. The whole idea of getting these accessories to design in such a way that we will have ease of welding, especially when you are taking a position and ready to strike a arc, and then you put down your helmet or the torch. That jerk of the helmet may move its location, and you will start at a wrong location, and then hurriedly you will have to adjust it to the right location as the arc gets established and you can see through the dark glasses. So then photoelectric effect glasses are available, which are normally transparent, but as you strike a arc, within a few milliseconds it will immediately become dark to the required intensity, and that is also adjustable. You can make it to 11, 12, 13 depending upon the current what you are using. I think other sets of accessories which are required are like if you are doing a tungsten TIG welding, then the TIG welding torch or the tungsten electrode requires to be properly sharpened. It requires to be properly cleaned, and depending upon type of current, AC, DC current, and the kind of joint and aim what you are having, you may change the angle of the tip, maybe 45 degree to 70 degree, and then accordingly it has to be ground. The wire cutters for cutting the wire which gets oxidized and you want to remove that and throw it and discard it. Holders for old generation torches or old SMAW process. So like that there are many other accessories which I am not trying to cover everything in this, but I think this has given you fairly good idea of what accessories are required for a welder and a welding engineer to really plan and ensure that we are able to do a smooth and easy welding. The whole idea is to make work as easy, as comfortable for the welder who is already having a challenge of very high heat, and especially on the preheated jobs you require burners and temperature sticks to keep on measuring that preheat, interpass temperatures, post heat heating is everything is being done as per the plan, and those burners and this heat and then the heat of the arc and the filler wire and those gases and the fluxes, this is all not a very conducive environment for a good work. But that's a process. And once we suppose have a habit of smoking, we cannot complain about the smell what you will get, or the smoke what you will get, or the heat what you will get out of it. So you have chosen a profession of a welder, and once the profession is chosen, I don't think we should complain, but we should try to find out as to how we will make our work comfortable. And at least when I used to do welding myself and was on the shop floor, I used to enjoy wearing all those masks and boiler suits and putting helmets and film extractors and hand gloves, and then really going for a welding and doing it. I mean, it used to give me a feel like a pilot, especially the fighter jet pilot, as you see him putting his complete overall suit and then goes and sits into his cockpit and then does all the miracles of maneuvering and pushing out all the ammunition which is there on his disposal. So similarly, we should also get equipped with all properly, no compromise on that. You should really ask, and the management will definitely provide for it. And then do a very easy, comfortable job of welding. Yes, initially it is painful, but within a week's time you will get used to it, and then you don't. In fact, I'm missing that now, that good smell of the welding and all that fun which I used to have on the shop floor. So with this, I think I should conclude this. Any suggestions, any improvements you want me to do on this, I will be very happy. And thank you for watching this, I think, 11th video from my side.